tips and information for our residents to refer to be best prepared for whatever the forecast may hold. Enough of the travel talk for this evening, though. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the latitude earlier this evening with the pizza delivery. I intended to share that pizza with council, but those boys looked hungry, so I gave it to them instead. I do appreciate Mayor Spalding's personal delivery this evening and his kind words. He was a good sport through all of that. The week of the game, I texted him and said, "How would you feel about a friendly wager?" And he was immediately in. He did suggest at one point that the losing team, losing mayor, buy pizza for the entire team, and then he realized how much that would cost. So it was one pizza, and that's fine. I want to recognize the absence next to me. Our city attorney told me that I could share with him. He's not able to be here this evening. He did have a death in his family, and has been, the funeral actually was today. I know he's had a rough day. He does send his regrets and his wishes for everyone to have a wonderful holiday, but we are keeping him and his family in our prayers. It's always difficult to lose someone, but especially this time of year, it could be just very devastating for many, and we have many residents who are suffering right now. We think of all of them in a special way. As we close out 2022, it's certainly been an extremely busy year. I think it's the first year since I took office in January 2020 that we had a normal year, it's whatever that new normal definition is. Our events and programs returned in full force. Our sidewalk program, which began in talks, I think back in 2017, as Councilman Schnetzer mentioned, finally moved into full implementation. We began this year, think back to January, when we were in workshops over at the Senior Center with Council talking about the critical condition of our facilities and oh my gosh, what we're going to do. And our goal was simply to come up with an idea or a plan as to how we might in the future be able to address that. And here we are closing out the year with a brand new 100,000 square foot Class A office space that will take care of 3 of those facility needs for decades to come. I'd say that alone was quite an accomplishment this year for all of us, and certainly Mr. Schultz sitting across from me who has led that effort and continues to lead that effort going forward. Crescent Central Park continues to be an economic driver for the city. We saw the opening of Walnut Creek Surgical Suites, and most recently the groundbreaking of a 3rd medical facility and construction about to begin on a 4th medical building over in that direction. Next door, we have construction on a brand new high school, and that is well underway, in part due to the collaborative effort of City Council and the administration and our city attorney working with our school district that has allowed that project to move forward as expeditiously as possible. And we look forward to that continuing to move as quickly. I know Mr. Blackford back there has been very involved in making sure that that project stays on pace with our building department as well. And certainly the football team was regional champions for the first time in 40 years. Since Ray's not here, I will mention he played on the team the last time they were regional champions. That's all I'm going to say. They might have been wearing leather helmets, as Chief says, but we won't go there. And of course, the big news for our Columbus region was the Intel project. So how we prepare for Intel and how that project will impact Gahanna both positively and negatively is something that will be woven into our long-term planning as we move forward. We have a great deal, I think, of positive momentum in the city right now and in the Columbus region. And as we move forward into 2023, we continue to build upon that momentum as we move the city forward. I think the budget that was passed tonight reflects a balance of addressing years of deferred maintenance on everything from our infrastructure to facilities to our human capital, balancing that with new projects that will move the city forward and set us up for success for many years to come. And I thank Council for the very healthy dialogue that we've had these last few months. I appreciated having the process that we used again. Many thanks to Councilman Schnetzer for leading that as finance chair. But having those questions, being able to gather the information that you need to make informed decisions and to ask us informed questions is critical to this process. And I appreciate the collaboration that we've had through that process as well. It has been a pleasure to work with you this year. We have all accomplished a great deal together. Everybody from our team, our fantastic team, our directors and our staff members here at the city, to council, our city attorney, the members of our boards and commissions who volunteer their time and serve. They don't always get the most pleasant things to deal with, but they always show up and they do a phenomenal job. and of course our residents who hold us accountable and demand the best, and we strive always to provide them with the best. So I look forward to continuing our work in 2023 and continuing the great collaboration that we have shared in the new year. And my best wishes to each and every one of you and to our residents who are watching at home for a wonderful and blessed holiday season. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, moving right along to item L, council comment. Ms. Angelou.
Well, it's just been a wonderful year, I think, considering we've had COVID, and more COVID over the last few years. And when it seems as though things are very dark, we've been able to get past that. And so this has been, I think, a really wonderful year for us at the City Hall here. And I want to thank all of the people that are sitting over there that have been part of this. And it's just such a wonderful thing to be sitting here and hearing all the wonderful things that are happening that you're doing. So we want to thank you for all of that. And whether it's a police or Parks and Recreation or just our wonderful mayor for all the things that she's doing. So I want to thank everybody, and I want to wish everybody a happy holiday, whatever your holiday may be. We know that there are many different ones, and we've had opportunities this year, and having those opportunities and taking advantage of those opportunities, I think makes us look pretty darn good. And I think that our community understands that we're trying to take those opportunities and make it something special for everybody in our community. And with that, I will see you in, I think, January. So, I think January. Anyway.
7:30 tomorrow morning.
Oh, I'll be there at 7:30.
Thank you. Ms. McGregor.
I appreciate the mayor talking about being prepared when you're traveling. You always think it's not going to happen to you. And last February, my husband and I were headed to Florida, and Lord gave me just a nudge, put a sleeping bag in the car. And it was snowing, put a sleeping bag in the car, followed trucks to Cincinnati. It wasn't too bad. We went slow, got to Cincinnati, and we were on I-75 in the fast lane, and traffic came to a stop. It was 2 in the morning, and it did not start again until 7. It was 27 degrees out. There were trucks all around us. We didn't move. I tried to find online what happened, never could figure out why we were stopped. And eventually it started about 7:20, and we got off and found a different way across the river and continued. But I had that sleeping bag. My husband had a good heavy coat. I had a sleeping bag, could put my feet in it. We were afraid about running out for gas, so we would turn the car on, warm it up a little bit, and then turn it off. So it does happen. It's nice to have an extra sleeping bag. And he now has the claim that he is one of the few people he knows that actually had to go to the bathroom in the fast lane of I-75 along the median during the night, during the snowstorm. So not many people can make that claim. So
Nor do they want to.
Council, you learn all sorts of things.
So anyway, Merry...
Yeah.
You what? I didn't hear that.
Public urination. Got it.
Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Weaver.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. Thank everyone for being here. I also want to share my congratulations to our regional champion football team. Quite the accomplishment, and it was fun seeing the players here today. So thank you, Council Member McGregor, for taking the lead on the resolution. Also want to give my thanks and congratulations to Jameel Jones and Kylie Cooper-Cyrus for their willingness to serve on commissions. Thank everybody for their willingness to do so, and encourage folks to apply as those positions become available. Also want to express my thanks to Chief Spence and Lieutenant Moffitt, and echo the comments to please be careful out there this weekend. Unfortunately, My wife had a student of hers pass away this weekend due to a vehicle accident in one of our neighboring communities. It just simply tragic. You don't think it can happen to you. There's a tendency to think you're immortal. You're not. So be careful out there, and even more so as the weather turns here. On a lighter note, I don't know about anybody else here, but I got to see Santa this weekend and share my thoughts on some wishes. So I want to express my thanks to Santa and Mrs. Claus, but the Rourkes, it was great to see Gahanna Police out there, Mifflin Fire, as well as the many volunteers and community members who were there. I did see Councilmember Bowers there as well, so it was a great turnout on a very cold, snowy evening. I want to echo the mayor's comments. It's been a big year, and for myself, my first year on council, it's been very humbling and rewarding. I would like to thank President Renner, Vice President Bowers, and of course Chair Schnetzer, as well as my colleagues as a whole for the warm welcome and guidance throughout the year. Thank you to the city attorney, the administration, Mayor Jadwin, and particularly our fantastic city staff. Clerk Van Meter, Deputy Clerk Ripley, thank you, thank you, thank you. With that, I want to wish everyone a very happy, healthy, and safe, please be safe, holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Ms. Padova.
Thank you. I wanted to thank everyone who participated last week in the Ugly Sweater fundraiser that we threw. At a CVB meeting, Director Strum threw out the idea. Lori and I were quickly on board, and Will Schulze was nice enough to offer up Edison. In just a few hours, we raised about $3,000 to support Grin. So thank you to everyone who came out to support, including Councilman Weaver, Councilwoman Bowers, who looked fabulous in her ugly sweater dress, and also Councilwoman McGregor and Mayor for being judges for our ugly sweater contest. We got a lot of good feedback, and I think some people were already asking for it to be an annual event, so it might have to be. Everybody in the ugly sweater contest really brought their A game, so it was awesome. And then some, yes. As I wrap up my first year in this seat, I also want to thank my colleagues and the administration for helping me along the way. I've learned so much from both my colleagues as well as our community, and I really look forward to an even better second year. And I cannot pass up an opportunity to remind everybody to shop local for any of your gifts that you have left on your list. My heart broke this weekend when I found out that Gahanna Hardware is closing in mid-January. With that being said, they are open now, so you can go get your shovels, your salt, everything you need for this weekend, and you can even get some gifts there. So definitely check out all of the local stores and try to spend as much money as you can local, because you never know what store is counting on the holiday sales to keep their doors open until next holidays. With that being said, I wish everybody a safe and happy holiday season.
Thank you. Mr. Schnetzer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, the casualty of kind of being next to last or almost next to last in the queue is it sounds a bit redundant, but I'll just underscore it's been a really fantastic year so far. I don't know if many of you are like me. 2022 finally seems like the year where things kind of got back to normal, whatever that may look like. To the mayor's point, whether it's a fully back in the office work environment or work from home or hybrid or whatever it may be. But I think we enter 2023 as a city, as a community, with tremendous momentum. I think the budget positions us to continue that momentum into the new year. And I'll just simply say we have Mr. and Mrs. Claus in the back, so I'll wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And speaking of that work from home and back to the office environment, I know as we all cruise into the tail end of the year, I really hope that everyone can unplug, take a well-deserved break, and remember what the holidays are all about, spend time with friends and family, and form some fond memories that we'll take with us into the future. So with that, and happy holidays and happy new year.
Thank you. Ms. Bowers.
Thank you. I'll start by reminding folks that as we wind up end of the year giving and thinking about planning ahead for filing tax returns for next year, that you can make a gift to Give to Gahanna by going to givetogahanna.org. One gift on Give to Gahanna's website will support a whole host of nonprofits based right here that support our residents. It was an effort that was spearheaded a few years ago, and it's continued to grow. And you too can get your very own We Love Gahanna yard sign, so you can join the club with that. Big, huge thank you to Colleen and Jason Rourke for making Christmas magic happen this year, and also to 254 Youth Center, Meredith Mendoza, Emily Bernard and her family, and many others who have been volunteering at Royal Garden Park. It really was a magical experience. Santa knew my son's name, and I asked my son afterwards, I said, "Did you tell him your name?" And he said, "No." I said, "Oh my gosh, it was the real Santa." And he said, "Oh my gosh, it was the real Santa." So it truly was just a perfect night. And just thank you so much. You guys are a true asset to our community. A major thanks also to the Historical Society for putting on Victorian Christmas. And I know so many other organizations, homeowners associations, and other church groups are doing lots of Christmas magic this year too. So I think everyone puts a lot of effort in to do lots of great things this year. I wanted to mention a report that was on WOSU this morning, and thank you to Councilmember Weaver for bringing this to my attention on ongoing housing problems in Central Ohio. Sadly, 2022 had reported 20,000 eviction filings in Franklin County, the highest in about 10 years. There continue to be some apartment management companies refusing to work with rental assistance agencies, which is one reason why I'm so proud of my colleagues for passing the Comprehensive Housing Non-Discrimination Ordinance for Gahanna in October. There are a myriad of reasons why the eviction filings are up so high, but one of the most difficult aspects of the story to hear was about a woman who was facing eviction, and she actually went to eviction court with her landlord. They were going together so they could both seek financial assistance so she could stay in her unit and he could meet his financial obligations. Going into 2023, as we look to ensure housing access and stability for the region, I do plan to seek and to continue to advocate on behalf of all Gahanna residents, both owners and tenants, to ensure that we're making sure these systems work for all the people who need it, and to make sure all of our needs are met across the region. With that, I will end on a lighter note, say happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, and a blessed Yule. And thank you to everybody for all your hard work this year.
Thank you. My final comments for the year, I think the mayor actually summarized things pretty well. We started with a big bang, and we had very major issues before us, and I think we as a team really went through those very well in a very good analytical process, and I do definitely thank the mayor and her staff for actually helping lead those discussions and be patient as we asked questions, sometimes hard questions about that, and get to the facilities point, at least somewhat, of one set of facility problems. We still have some others. We also had, as a council, we passed some pretty major legislation. We tackled, of course, an issue that our society seems to keep having a problem with, and that is gender and sexuality. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but we did have a somewhat a filled room. And we had discussion about that, but we got through it, we passed it. And then we had the fair housing legislation led by Ms. Bowers, which is a very significant piece of legislation. Yes, probably not going to have issues and people, needing to actually use it. But what it does is it modernizes our city and in the collection of all the cities around the Outer Belt. And that really gets to the next thing I want to talk about, is that this is coming to the close of my 10th year sitting on council. And in 10 years, I've actually seen Gahanna grow significantly, not necessarily in population, but we have grown and wrestled in the what is it that we want to do? How do we pay for the things that we want to do? We heard definitely from residents what the set of services are. And residents themselves were becoming even more mature in what it is and being specific about what they wanted us, the city, to do. And it was basically to modernize the city. It was to provide the parks, the roads, and many things that we couldn't pay for. And some of you on council may remember those nights that we had where we were coming very close to the unencumbered balance of being less than $1 million. And it was a very scary thing for any of us on council. Because we did not know how we had these demands from our constituents, but we definitely did not have the revenue. And then issue 12 happened, and that changed. And now we're looking, when I first started, I voted on a budget in 2012 at $22.8 million, and now we've passed a $30.3 million budget. Yes, expenses are getting unwieldy. Yes, things are really challenging, but yes, we are modernizing the city. We are addressing things. In fact, to that point, in 2012, the overall city budget, counting all the enterprise funds and special revenue at that time, was only $47 million. Today, it's 75. So 73.9, sorry. But the point is that we are growing with a lot of internal stresses. We are growing and meeting the demands. And so to my colleagues on council, I am very happy and impressed with how we actually measured and took on these issues this year. I look forward to together addressing these issues again and in newer ways because in any additional years we have newer stresses and we have newer problems. But we have a very good diversified set of opinions, a diversified set of experiences, and my rule has always been to be kind and to be respectful and make sure that we have a very public and good process to follow. The Ruricks seem to be a very center-axial household in Gahanna because they know the Easter Bunny quite well. They seem to know the Grinch quite well and also Santa. So I really impressed. You guys have been coming really a jewel on the west side and all the events. I did not get to make it. Our household is filled with a lot of other things that needed my attention. But I am definitely very proud to have you as a member on the west side. I think we've lauded everybody under the sun that we could collectively. And I won't go through all that again, but I definitely also, I think we've also heard a good diversity of stories. And Ms. Angelou and Ms. McGregor, I definitely always appreciate hearing the stories even long before my tenure and everybody else that's been involved. We did lose a member this year and a resident of the West Side and a friend. And it's always good that and I know we came together, we collectively said our goodbyes, and that's a good thing, and it's always a good thing to remember. We are facing now with winter, and I only want to bring that up because you know I'm going to, is that earlier this year I talked about climate change, and it's hard to talk about climate change in the middle of winter and when you're freezing. I get that, I understand. But look at the climate and watch what it's doing. We're definitely heating up. And anything you could do to try to put that at bay, to try to figure out how to delay that, I'm just asking you to please consider. Yes, we got a big snowstorm coming. Who knows what the snow precipitation is going to be next week? Look at what their projected temperatures are going to be. They're going to be more spring-like. And that just points to what I'm saying. There's definitely a change, and Mother Earth is pretty pissed off. So, but with that, we know we have Santa, and we know that it's a very holy occasion. This is a very somber and reflection point in our time, and I ask everybody to definitely, regardless of your religious or your spiritual affiliation, definitely remember your neighbors. Remember those who are clearly less fortunate than you. When Sunday comes, please keep them in mind and think if there's anything else you can do. With that, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and everybody, please have a very good and warm holiday season. Do you have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.